had the unfortunate experience of having been visited by a major hurricane, devastating two of our islands and interrupting significantly the economic and social life of the country. And those storms, of course, had been preceded in years prior by other storms. You may not be aware, but a study of the Inter-American Development Bank indicated that territories tend to take as much as 18 plus years to recover from these storms. Not to be outdone, following upon Hurricane Dorian, we became a part of the global experience of the COVID-19 pandemic. And with all of its health and other challenges, continue to try to recover from that. So from a health perspective, from an economic, infrastructural, social perspective, from the broader perspective of addressing issues related to climate change, the Bahamas, like so many other countries, has had to look at, going forward, how best to manage the risk associated with these phenomena. And this is the context for the present symposium that you are now a part of, sponsored by the Inter-American Development Bank and its partners. The difference here is that with we ideate in this P2R-CT symposium, the notion of ideation is that you don't only talk about the challenges, but you try to generate actual solutions. So the hope is over the next several hours, the discussions will tease out the challenges, but also generate some means of providing solutions to the same. We expect that our Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, will be here soon. Distinguished Cabinet Ministers, Permanent Secretaries, General Manager for the Inter-American Development Bank Caribbean Department, whose message we will hear from in due course, other representatives of the Washington headquarters of the IDB, country representative of the IDB here in the Bahamas, Daniela Carrera Marquez, and other representatives of the team here in the Bahamas, Madam Chair of the Board of Trustees of the University of the Bahamas, Allison Maynard Gibson, Dr. Maria Oriaki, Vice President, Academic Affairs, University of the Bahamas, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'd like now to call on the IDB's country representative, Ms. Marquez, to come and bid you welcome and bring some remarks.
Thank you. Good morning, and welcome to the Symposium on Climate Change and the Importance of Disaster and Health Risk Management in the Bahamas. Thank you, Mr. Lane, for establishing protocol. I would also like to recognize the presence of the Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, and his ministerial colleagues who are joining us today. I'm going to start by saying, why are we here today? And This is a response to your advocacy for climate change action as an inspiration for our presence, work, and engagement here today. Like you and your government, the Inter-American Development Bank believes and shares belief that the resilience and funding are crucial issues in addressing the impact of climate crisis on small island developing states. At the IDB, we understand the double jeopardy of climate that includes energy, transportation, water, and health, while responding to the impact of climate-related natural disaster through response, recovery, and reconstruction. We understand the need for substantial investments in a climate-resilient future for the Bahamas, and this resilience has to include the fiscal resilience and the access to climate finance. The frequency, intensity, and impact of climate-related. These two crises have to make us shift our perception and actions towards risk management. We have to look at these events on an integrated manner and no longer silo approaches work to build resilience. Given the urgency of the climate crisis, the IDB established an interdisciplinary team, P2RCT, to assess the risks and vulnerabilities of climate change in the Bahamas and to design activities aligned with the government's climate change agenda to enhance climate resilience in the country. The acronym P2RCT stands for Preparation to Recovery and Reconstruction Country Team. Based on our country office, this team of specialists in climate change, health, disaster risk management, energy, and transportation, just to mention a few, is a resource to the government of the Bahamas to offer strategic, technical, and advisory support. The team supports the establishment of coordination mechanisms to develop strategies, support technical cooperation, projects, loans, and assessments, and to share the lessons learned and the knowledge products in the government in disaster and health risk management. We are delighted to facilitate this symposium and firmly establish to the government and the people of the Bahamas that the IDB is in country and in action as a strategic partner in addressing the climate crisis. Today, we build on the previous work. It has been a long journey and one that stands to continue. The journey includes IDB's financial instruments, research and analysis assessments, such as the DALA assessment, Index of Governance and Public Policy in Disaster Risk Management, IGOP, Disaster Risk Profile, and more others. It is also an ongoing journey of evaluation of policies, strategic planning, project design and implementation, advocacy, monitoring, and impact evaluation. The risks and vulnerabilities of rising sea levels, warming temperatures, and the increased frequency and intensity of storms require design thinking and the inclusion of a broad cross-section of stakeholders. Today, we further spark a national dialogue with sector specialists from the IDB, partners in local government, and technical specialists from the public, private sector, and civil society and academia to co-create plans for resilience and funding for natural disasters and health emergency and disaster risks. Through a non-reimbursable technical cooperation, P2RCT provides capacity strengthening, technical support, and knowledge transfer of disaster risk management and health risk. The overall objective is to support the continuous strengthening of relevant government institutions' capacity to achieve policies, strengthen governance, and build a risk management framework that considers both disasters and health risks. It is to achieve an integrated and sustainable approach to strengthening the national response to disasters and health